Hello everyone. Today we are going to discuss digital marketing, social media, advertising, targeting using the right set of parameters, right focus and target audiences. But before we go to that particular aspect, whenever you're planning a pay-per-click or a sponsored campaign using digital or online media, first make sure that your campaign goals are very clear. And secondly, make sure that those campaign goals are specific in nature. To give you a simple example, instead of saying I want to increase my sales, I want to increase my website visitors, the better way to put it across would be I want to increase my website visitors by 20% in the next 30 days using XYZ digital strategies. I want to increase sales by 20% in the coming quarter as compared to the previous quarter using XYZ social media or digital marketing strategies. Now, what happens is once you have very specific, clear goals, the targeting platforms, the tools, the ads, the kind of content you need to create also becomes very clear. The simple reason being different platforms, users who are engaging on different platforms use or consume the content also very differently. So the kind of message that you might put across on Instagram will be very different from the similar product or service that you're trying to promote on Facebook or Twitter or LinkedIn or any other platform. So the messaging needs to be different. The targeting parameters obviously changes depending on two things. One is obviously the same kind of platform that you're going to use and the tools that you're going to use to promote that content. So Google AdWords or Facebook ads or Twitter ads or LinkedIn ads, all of them have their own set of targeting parameters. We can look at few of the important targeting parameters that are generally uh, assumed to be core when it comes to targeting audiences across digital platforms. The first and foremost is obviously the age and gender. So whenever you're targeting specific products and services, especially if they are sensitive to age and genders, you need to ensure that your ads are also targeting those particular group of users only. Yeah. So let's say if you're particularly targeting men in the age group of 20 to 30 for your particular product or service, ensure that when you're creating the ad, whether it is on Google AdWords or Facebook ads, you ensure that you have specific age group parameters also added to the targeting tool and the process that you're using for your pay-per-click campaigns. So age, gender is one of the most basic things that you can look at. The second thing is different, like I said, if you're using Google AdWords or Facebook ads, depending on whichever platform you're using, which makes sense for your industry or brand and campaign. Now here, one more thing I would like to add is just because everybody is on Facebook doesn't mean that's the right advertising platform for any or across any industry or any country or any location or any demographic of users. Yeah, so make sure that the tool that you're using is also justifying the industry or the targeted end users who are using that particular platform. Coming back to the second point, followers and pages of interest, and so if you're focusing on creating ads using Twitter, you can actually target specific followers and say people who are following these users can be targeted, for my ads which are being created. Similarly, if you're focusing on Facebook, you can say people who have liked a particular page, please show my ads to those users. So if you are a competing brand, you can actually select your competitor's page if it is available, accessible on that particular ad platform, and you can select their names, and people who have liked that particular page might end up seeing your ad too. So followers and pages of interest is a very important way to reach out to the right target audiences. So rather than being generic and just saying that I want everybody in Mumbai or Rome or New York to see the ad, you can actually say people in these particular cities with this age group and gender who have liked these particular pages or who are following these particular users can be targeted to show my ads to. Then obviously further down, depending on the platform that you're using, for example, LinkedIn advertisements or Facebook ads also allow you to target users using their job titles and designations. Yeah. Now please bear in mind that whenever I'm sharing these kind of strategies or tools, always ensure to check before you create anything that is specifically applying that's going to be specifically applicable for your industry. Secondly, these advertising PPC platforms or tools keep changing a lot. In other words, there are the tools changes, the kind of parameters that are allowed or permitted keeps changing depending on security and other reasons and guidelines and privacy issues. So make sure that you keep yourself updated depending on which tool you're using. So what might be available maybe today might not be accessible 3 months down the line because of the guidelines or privacy parameters which have been changed by that organization which is using that particular social networking advertising platform. Yeah. So similarly, like I said, so job titles and roles can be an important way to target users. Now you have to understand that they have to make sense when you're particularly targeting a job role. It can be something which is very specific to the kind of industry that you're catering to. Now here you need to look at two things. So there was a query which was shared by somebody, one of the users who had watched my video a couple of weeks ago, and she dropped in a mail saying, "Can you explain how do I target or what should I decide? Are CMOs or CEOs, CFOs not the decision makers? So would that be perfect for me to target them across advertising platforms?" Now my answer is yes and no, simply because yes, they are the decision makers, but not necessary that a CEO, CFO, or a CMO or the C-suite executive management professionals might have time to access these social networking sites to the extent we would assume them to be using it. Not necessarily. Yeah. So it's better to not simply rely on targeting only them. So what can be done is probably you can have A/B testing of ads. When I say A/B testing, I mean you can have different sets of ad groups or ad created. So one set of ad group or ad can focus on targeting the C-suite executives particularly, and the second set of ad groups can be created targeting professionals who are probably are one level or two levels down to these C-suite executives. Because believe it or not, majority of the times, manager, middle manager, senior managerial level professionals are end up using or seeing this content more frequently than the C-suite executives, because they are the ones who are actually influencing the C-suite executive, saying that you can try this particular product or service. You can actually see this particular corporate has come up with a new product feature. Now, because they are strongly looking out for content, products, and services, and doing extensive research on multiple platforms to ensure that they suggest the best solutions available for their company to their seniors or supervisors. So you could try out different sets of ad tests when you're focusing on job titles and roles. That will make perfect sense for the kind of brand or industry or product service you're catering to. It's especially useful if you're working on a B2B kind of an environment. Then we have interests. Yeah, so whether you're using Google AdWords or Facebook ads, you can actually target people focused on the kind of interests that they have. So somebody who is, let's say, interested in traveling. Yeah, so it's a very generic term, right? So if I want to create an ad for travel, you can actually say I want to target travelers who are interested in international destinations in these locations, so that whenever you're promoting a product or a service across those locations, you end up reaching out to those targeted users. So interests again can be very specific. You can have interests about food, you can have interests about. So one important aspect I would like to definitely share when I'm talking about interests is when you're targeting users for interests, it might be a good idea, obviously depending on the industry or brand that you're focusing on, product or service that you're planning to sell. It's important to have one level of expansion towards your interests. So you have your core interests of those particular users whom you're targeting, and maybe one level down expanding to them. For example, in certain PPC tools, it allows you to show your ads to friends of people who like particular things or who have done XYZ activities. To give you a simple example, if you're running an advertisement for people who are interested in getting travel destinations for marriage, you might have an option to actually select people, friends of people who have recently got engaged. Yeah, so the reason is it's not just the people who are getting married, who are going to get married, are going to look at that ad. It's possible sometimes they get influenced by their friends who might see the ad. How many times has it happened for a simple restaurant that some friend or a relative or a colleague or a peer has suggested, goes, I saw this ad, this restaurant looks wonderful, you might want to check it out, and they share the ad, they share the details also. So that's one more level of expansion when it comes to interests you can focus on. And obviously it's a very vast interest. When you talk about it, can be academics, it can be professional, it can be personal interest, it can be hobbies, it can be lifestyle choices, and so much more. Another important aspect of targeting users using advertisements is based on the online behavior patterns. So a lot of these sites, now it's obviously compulsory for sites to make sure that they are putting up a message saying that we're going to use cookies, which will be dropped if you have to accept it and stuff like that, to make sure that they are taking permission of users to target them or in future at any point of time. Now, what happens is the online behaviors are tracked of users based on these particular approvals that are given by end users who are visiting different websites. Now, based on these behavioral options, we can actually find out who is interested in buying what kind of products and services online to a great extent using the data and analytics provided by these social media platforms. We can actually find out that, okay, there are these kind of users. I want to target users who are using more offers, discounts, and deals using XYZ services. Maybe somebody who is frequently using Paytm option. Yeah, I'm just giving an example. Somebody is using XYZ, maybe a Google Pay to frequently buy stuff. Somebody who is using credit cards to make purchases, somebody who is more interested in specific types of deals, discounts, and offers. So you can actually target users based on their buying behavioral patterns. Now, please understand that at any point of time, whenever you're using advertisements, they should enhance the customer experience. Yeah, that should not, the pure focus should not just be to push ads on their devices. The idea should be to ensure to use this data which is available to make their lives easy, to make the consumer's life easy, and not to infringe upon or look spooky or as if you're following them across wherever they go. That's not the idea. Using the data for the right reasons to give them the best customer experience should be the best type of ads, which will give you obviously the most amazing ROI conversions that's available. One final aspect I would like to quickly share is a lot of these pay-per-click tools help you to target audiences based on website visitors. So again, like I said, you can drop a cookie and you can take permission from them, and then you can show your ads wherever these users are visiting across even different websites, and your ads are still shown to them. You can have custom email updates. So you have custom audiences and similar options available where you can upload an entire email list of users. Now, please understand, never buy email database from any site. Make sure the emails that you have are of users who have taken, whose permission you have taken, or they have subscribed to your blog or website at any point of time. Never misuse that particular data, because it's not only unethical, it's completely illegal, and it's not being a responsible, what a responsible digital marketer should do. Yeah, so make sure that email lists and similar data that you acquire are through genuine purposes and to proper means, so that your targeting also makes sense. Yeah, when you target the right set of audiences, your conversion rates automatically go up. So these are some simple quick tools that I thought I can use to share with you in terms of the targeting when you're planning to target different users across different platforms. Hope you found it useful. Always feel free to reach me for any queries. You can also connect with me on ananthv.com. That's ANANTHV.com. Have a great day. Thank you.